So for the next part, let's talk about my individual experience. So I started off in college for 2 years, and from there, I didn't really know where I was going to begin with. I tried to join the RAF for a while, got rejected from that, so I joined electronics engineering in college. That then got me onto my second year project, which again, everybody wanted to do one project. I chose a slightly different project, a slightly more unique project. So because of that reason, nobody else was doing my project, and I could find a way to make it mine, if that makes sense. Like I could figure out more research tailored towards my project because not everybody was doing it, and I wouldn't have the ability to go, hey, what do you do, and just copy the next guy. So for that reason, I wanted to do my own project and something that was a wee bit different. That then led me on to university. Again, I wasn't sure if I was going to go to university, but by the end of my second year, I started doing quite well in college, which turned it around really for me, because my first year of college, I was terrible, to say the least. I was barely passing half the classes, and it was very, very difficult. But that was just me, because I wasn't very academically inclined until maybe I started properly understanding how to study and how to actually go for it, if that makes sense. How to properly lock in for myself. I'm very easily distracted, as you can guess, but there is ways you can focus your brain and lock in, and I really figured that out in my late second year of college, maybe even early third year. So in third year of university, which I then went to from the college role, that's when I really learned to study. I really got my grades and my averages up, which was really good. I managed to get above average of 70%, which was ideal for me. That was the best you can the best grade you can get in my university. So from there I went into my fourth year, and that's when it came around to deciding the projects. But obviously I was saying about choosing a difficult project. There were simple projects that I could do specifically within Arduino, sensing, controlling. There were specific smart home features that you could do. The smart home features itself didn't really interest me, because I'm not really looking for a smart home at the moment. I reckon I could look to it at another time and find a way to implement smart home technology, but for now I wasn't really that interested in it. So for me specifically, there was a project that was a sound direction finder, and this is what I chose as my project, because there was quite difficult applications to it. There was a lot of digital signal processing, working in nanoseconds at times, trying to figure out all the mathematics between getting a signal location from only two microphones to begin with, and then I added an additional two microphones later on, which complicated it even further, which is really good, because not only could I talk about that, I could then struggle and stress through that situation, because once you got the first one working, then you had to get the second one working, and as well as that, you got to use function generators and additional equipment to make sure it works in a perfect environment to then work in a actual physical environment instead. So what I essentially did was I made sure I simulated it properly, I learned how to simulate, and then I learned on to how to implement the simulation in real life, essentially. And that's how I created my device in the end. And I feel like there was a lot of stages to that, a lot of progression, and it took a long time. It took a lot of hours in the lab, and my supervisor at the time really appreciated how long I spent in the lab, multiple hours, especially with all the other stuff going on with all the other studies. It's quite difficult, but I reckon it's definitely worth it just to lock in and grind for that year. So during that year, you're doing everything. You're doing all your projects, you're doing all your regular models, and everything you got going is outside of university as well. Even with that, with university, I was also applying for jobs constantly from the last year in September. So I was going for jobs mainly for electronics and electricals. I was going for more general, broader jobs at the time as well, because I wasn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of firing out applications left, right and centre. But then when I really started to lock in jobs I wanted, I started to see a lot more success on the return rate, essentially. With the actual jobs, when you start the application, that's probably your most important part, because if you put in a lot of effort into saying what you can provide, what you can bring value to, that's where it makes the difference between getting the job and not getting the job, essentially. So from that perspective, I think I really did quite well when I realised what I wanted and what I was going for. And when I fully locked in on those jobs, that's when I got the interviews and got the successes that I did. Funny story, actually, I was actually in a supervisor meeting when I got a call to say I got one of those jobs, and I was actually buzzing, and he was just like, right, let's get on with the project now. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're just skipping over that part then, but I guess that's the nature of it in general. So you want to make sure that you're doing a bit of everything. You got to balance it all, and you got to balance your social life, you got to balance whatever else you got going on outside as well, which is very difficult to do. And even at that time, I was making videos on electronics a lot, nothing crazy, just once every few months or few weeks, etc. It was nothing, no mental videos like the new ones I intend to do, but in general, it was really a challenge and really exciting to go for. When I was auditioning for roles, I generally didn't have the outcome for any of the roles I'd applied for because they all take so long and they all go for a long time together. You don't really know where you're going to end up, so you got to give your all to every single role. Even if you think you did well in the last one, you got to go for the next one and just do it just as hard, which is quite taxing and quite hard to do. So I think with a structured system, it'd be a lot easier to understand what does well, what doesn't do well, and I think for that reason, you need to really focus on how you're going to achieve success when you have to do it so many more times, and that was a real struggle for me as well. But at the end of the day, we're now here, and I'm now going into my graduate role in September, which I'm really looking forward to. But also I want to work on this on the side, because I want to work on two things. I want to provide value for others and help other people through that situation of getting through the last stage, and also build up my own company, which would be the electronics unlock system, which would be the chartership system, which would get more people into engineering from a young person's perspective or into entry roles. I would essentially like to focus towards just getting a degree or no degree at all, which is really hard for people to get into tech without degree or without qualifications, but there's good reason. I believe the university itself focuses on the degree aspects, on making sure people learn and making sure people know what's going on, whereas I think there's other methods you could do that. And I think universities, as time goes on, more people are realising that universities are getting more and more outdated, so as long as they're outdating it, and it introduces a level for someone new to step in, and that's where I want to step in and make sure people can get roles without university degrees or with just receiving university degrees. So there's more to it than I believe, and there's more to the coaching that I'm providing. I'm coaching to get a broader perspective on people's needs, wants and struggles, and specifically the struggles. This is where everything can be changed, and I believe I can change this. I just need some resources, some time, and to keep grafting. So that's my intention going forward, to keep grafting and keep going for it.